Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarocar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to bring to you the current topic. And today, our topic is role of youth in nation building. You are never too young to change the world. Youth is not only the vital source of state, but also a change agent. They are the evolver of social, economic, political, and cultural transformation and the driving force for change. The youths play a vital role in the constructive process of building social cohesion, economic prosperity, and political stability in a nation in an inclusive and democratic way. The involvement of youths in the nation building process is a must, as they play one of the most important roles. Hence, youths are ultimately the social actors of change and process. Youth can work forth for the nation in every possible way. They can stay and create employment themselves with the skills they possess, then going to abroad and seeking for job opportunities there. It can bring the youths in the forefront of national development with some proper guidance and direction. The youths have dreams, hopes, and passions. They yearn to achieve something great in life. They have gushing enthusiasm which has to be regulated and utilized in the right way. After all, people can exercise their full potential when they are young and energetic. There are many roles of youth in the nation building process, one of which being the fact that they can reproduce, meaning they can take up the position left by their elders and put in efforts to further grow and develop. They can produce more and more with initiative actions and contribute much to the society, henceforth the nation. The other role comprises of protection, which implies that the youth are expected to protect their culture and tradition while at the same time acknowledge and embrace changes. Growth being the other role implies that the development of the country in all the spheres like social, political, and economics depends largely on youth and their actions. Hence, youth are ultimately the building blocks of the nation. The stronger the youth are, the more developed the nation is. If people in the past could override things and be evergreen characters, then why can't the youths of today, that too when provided with all the modern means? So let us hope for the best and support the idea of youth being such an example in the time to come. The vision of our country lies in the hands of our youths. They are filled with tremendous and towering ambitions. The youth are the real treasure of any country. They are more important for a country like India. Rightly termed Youngistan, about 65% of India's population is under 35 years of age. The youth should be active drivers and not merely the passive recipients of development. Youth is age of discovery and dreams. Youths are fighters. They fight for problems which the world faces today. They need good morals and values to handle conflicts in a positive way. The primary role of young people is to get a good education in order to become better citizens of tomorrow. The youth will have to be morally, mentally, and physically sound and acknowledge the fact that hard work is the only key to success. They should take effective steps to eradicate social evils from our society in order to ensure healthy development of our nation. The vision of our country lies in the hands of our youths. They are filled with tremendous and towering ambition. It will be a great wastage of human resource if these youths are not given an opportunity to exercise their talent. This beautiful land needs these youths in order for our soil to become a brighter one. The primary role of young people is to get a good education in order to become better citizens of tomorrow. They need to learn skills to do the job that their country's economic needs. They also need to know how to read, write, think, understand, analyze, and discuss the issues their country faces. The entire success of the nation depends on the youths. However, in order for continuous success to take place, it is the government's responsibility to provide the youth with proper facilities for getting equipped with the knowledge of the modern era. And to discuss today the role of youth in nation building, we have elite youths with us who are quite young, who are going to give their perspective about the role of youth in nation building. But before that, I would like to invite the chief guest of today's program. He is Mr. P. Michael Vetha Shiromani, IAS. Mr. Michael is the former Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development. He is the former Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala. His journey as a civil servant began with Indian Forest Service in 1980 and subsequently joined the Indian Administrative Service, IAS, in 1982, being allotted to the Kerala cadre. Tribal development has been his keen interest, and during his stint as Director Tribal Welfare and as the District Collector of Wayanad, he was able to take many initiatives for tribal development. As part of tourism development, his active efforts paved way for a niche place of Wayanad in the tourism map of India. He was also instrumental in introducing sericulture in Kerala and produced the best quality cocoons in the country. He unearthed the unwed mother issue among the tribals in Wayanad and made efforts to put an end to it. He also served as a faculty member in Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, LBS-NAA, training 6 batches of civil servants. As Joint Secretary in NHRC, he established a training wing for human rights. In the field of disaster management, he edited a practical and application-oriented book named Source Book for the District Collectors. During his tenure with International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent, New Delhi, he set up training division for disaster management. A part of his other endeavors, he is also associated with organizations striving to make Kanyakumari district a model district of good governance and development. Welcome, Mr. Michael, on our show. Mr. Michael, today's topic is role of youth in nation building. And you, being the former Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development, as well as a trainer and faculty in the Lal Bahadur Shastri Administrative Academy, Mussoorie, you have full knowledge, experience in this field. So we would like to know from you the role of youth in nation building. Mr. P. Michael Vetha Shiromani, IAS, please.
Namaskar, Mr. Lal Goel, for the big introductions. It's, I think I would say, superfluous, but thanks for that. And also in your briefing, you have nicely put what should be the nation development. And it's a great pleasure that I'm able to interact or share a stage with, I would say, Ashta stars, the 8 stars here, representing the different parts of the country. And very good morning to one and all. And also my happiness is because normally you don't see smile in the youth faces, but I could see some smile in your faces. Thank you very much, because otherwise I think Indian youth is sometimes mostly grim. Thank you very much for all the smiling faces and all. Very good morning to you. A topic which is very, very interesting. I think everybody has to take part in it all. We cannot leave it to the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister or to the Collector. I think it is the nation's development. It is your and our nation, and we need to develop it. It's always said, when you want to be happy, be with your child. When you want to be youth and you want to be energetic, be with the youth like you. And when you wanted to be wise, be with the elderly like Mr. Lal. Friends, I think I am very, very privileged to be always with the youth. So I never felt my age. So I don't want to disclose my age to you also. because everybody wanted to pretend at least my youth by dying at it all, but I have not died myself. I want to be transparent. Okay, I was very, it was a best joke that I spent some 7-8 years in the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy, where I could see the youth very closely. I'm very motivated by some of my, at that time, we call it the officer trainings, or what we call the probationers. They are so motivated. One I would like to say here is Amuda, who is in the Prime Minister's office here. There are many such youths. I'm just, to just name one or two, I just tweeted it on. Similarly, I was also privileged to, I think, the Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development, which is set up in Sri Perumbudur. I would request at any point of time when you cross Sri Perumbudur, please do visit that memorial of our late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. It is one of the very, very sensitive and very motivating and all. With that background, I'm just coming. I think Mr. Lang has already said what is youth. For me, youth is energy, enthusiasm, everything. I would say everything. But I also wanted to underline, you are not the leader of tomorrow. I wanted you to be the leader of today. I don't want you to mature like me and say that you will take the leadership. I would say you are the youth leaders for the country for today, not for tomorrow. Please remember that, because in our country, what is happening, youth has got lesser role. आपको कुछ नहीं मालूम है, आप बेटा है, आप छोटा है. This is the major problem. छोटा कब है? Throughout the life you become छोटा because your parents are there. So this is the problem. So this delegation, etc., is not coming. That's what, if you take our average Prime Minister's age, I think I needn't say, I think you would calculate what is Mr. Modi sir's age. And after the average, our CM is 60 plus, 65 plus. So where is the role for the youth? You see a young MP or young MLA are surprised. That is not the India what we wanted. Now, coming to the nation, and also wanted to just highlight, when I all said it about this, youth is the or the creator of all crimes. Kindly understand that. That is what. Who is the criminal? It is a youth. Maybe the circumstances, I don't know, but crime committed majority by the youth is one of the most of the challenges which we have to address it. Now, coming to the nation, I think we should be very proud of our nation. There cannot be a nation like this. I think a nation, I think, which is something like, I would say, in any angle, any standard, it is very high. It's a great nation. It has given so much to the world. Spiritual center. It has given Mahatma Gandhi. It has given, I think, in total the spiritual leaders, Buddha, Jain. You can go on series it and all. And many people also come in search of India for Nalanda University of Earth. I just want to take a small example of one of the officer called Booth Tucker. This Booth Tucker is a person in the Indian Civil Services. The Indian Civil Services, Booth Tucker came and remained as a ICS officer. That is the ICS is the predecessor of the Indian Administrative Service. Okay, this ICS officer came to Punjab, worked for 3-4 years. Then he felt this is not the service in which I want to remain, but I want to do some social service to the people. So he goes to the founder of the Salvation Army called William Booth and pleased to him that please enroll me. He said, you are not fit. 3 times he'll be, leave the IAS. It's something like I'm asking me to leave my collectorship and work in Wayanad. I was collector in Wayanad. So I'm asking something like, please relieve me. Will my father, will my parents, will my wife allow me? So his father said, look, if you ever leave your civil service, I will not give even an inch of property of mine. He was denied. Finally, some or other, that was the call. This man came. This man comes again to Bombay and also to Maharashtra and to the Western India as what we call the Fakir Singh. Because when he transformed himself and when he came, his commitment was to the untouchable people. He said at that point of the time, 60 million people are untouchable. For them, I should work. So this is the Salvation Army. I think some of you must have seen, heard, which has worked for that. And how did they start? They started with something like that. The man comes, the army of 4, army of 3 ladies and 1 lady and a 3 person. And this is the person he comes. He says, I would call him Gandhi's Gandhi because this gentleman said no more shoes, barefoot. A white man, a barefoot. not the pant and coat. It's all the kavi dress. And food, how? Like any other Swamijis, he will go beg and eat. And they worked among the poorer people. And still today, something has been done in most of the districts, especially in the backward. This is what the gentleman. What I'm telling is, many people look to India for coming and serving the people. Now it is challenge for you and me. More for you, because if you are born in India, there is a destination. I think you have to work for this India. This India needs a youth. This India needs a dynamic youth where there are a lot of challenges. Our past has been very excellent. Past has been excellent and excellent, but present is not that. It's not that. We have got all the challenges with us and all. That the challenges which before me, I just put it is about in terms of opportunity denial. There are a lot of inequality among us. There are a lot of unemployment among. Deprivation is a problem. Now, for example, I think you can point out, what did you as a collector, what did you as a civil servant do? I think it's an unfinished agenda. To my youngsters, I would say this unfinished agenda is not very small. This unfinished agenda is very, very, very big. I'll straight come into, because the time limitation, I think Mr. Lal has been very economic. He's a conjuice, I would call it. So he has given limited time. So I would restrict myself to a few things and all. Now, coming to the challenges which is before us is something we have not properly invested in our youth. This is what I just wanted to highlight to you. Because we have not invested in it. When the National Youth Policy of 2014 was, initiated or declared, I was part of that, I think, draft and all. The holistic development of youth is what is missing in India. When I meet Shabna, I will say, what rank you scored? What percentage you scored? What is your mark in SSLC? This is not a mark-based. I think, unfortunately, India is a mark-based country, and with that mark, we have made no mark anywhere. I just clear it. We don't want to see what is the good qualities of Shabna. What is the good quality of Prince? How he is good as a person? Are you a mark scorer? Yes, okay, that's good. This mark has not taken us anywhere. It has demarked only. I don't think it's made any mark. But unfortunately, mark is the criteria. And I am also here in the IAS because of the mark. 2 marks less, I would have gone into the police service. 2 marks less, I would have gone into the income tax. So mark, unfortunately, I think this mark, right from LKG, you have been contented into that. I think you need to take a mark. Doesn't matter how bad you are. So that is one of the problems which I said. The holistic development today, what youth I look into is, youth has got no recreation. There is no recreation in the evening. The recreation is not for you and me. It is not for the college going student. It is for every person, including a non-academic youth. I am more concerned about the non-academic youth. Evening after a toil, he should be able to play a volleyball. You should be able to do some games. You should sit and chit chat. Now what is happening? There is no place to sit chat. So I take a bottle, which is very convenient and all. Then I invite Mr. Abhay. Why don't you also join? Abhay also left no alternative. So he also joins me. This is what is one of the major problems. I think what I wanted to say, that there is no recreation. There is no holistic development. I think if there's a holistic development, then only I could contribute. This is one of the major problems which I wanted to do this one. Second thing, why great prime ministers, great chief ministers, great collectors, why still there is a poverty? Why there is still, I think, begging? Why there is still people without houses? Why still there is a hunger? There is something fundamentally wrong in our commitment. Each one of us have to commit. There's a lack of commitment is what I say. If there's a hungry face, the Bharatiyar great poet says, if there is no food for a single person, I'll burn this universe, he says. I think if there's a hunger anywhere, I think Mr. George was telling, I think we should make it hunger free, but hunger for opportunity. But today's youth, not like me. When I went into the library, I need half an hour to find my library, a book. But to you, it is in 1 second, not even 1 minute. So you're the people of the screen. I think for you, digital is very great, important, and the challenges are before you. The challenges are before you. But then, what is the second major problem for this country? I said, why this is corruption. It's a corruption. Corruptions in political parties, corrupt at a higher level, corrupt at the CM's level, and everywhere is becoming a corruption. Corruption-free India is your challenge and my challenge at all. I think the exodus of youth is a major problem. I will be the last person to leave my country as the shore. But youth are leaving. I would say they are driven off. Today, if there is an offer for a youth, would you go to America or would you go, there is a heaven? Says, I don't want heaven. I want America. I think today's achievement, people say, be a Supreme Court judge or a High Court judge or a Chief Justice or a Chief Secretary. Where is your children? They are in the US. What they do, I don't know. That is what finally, I think, for us, ultimate aim. I think we all say that the Indian youth is committed for Obama. Today, I would say Biden, Joe Biden. I don't know whether we are committed to Mr. Modi, but I would say that our aim, our target is, I think, US. There is something which we have to look into that. Why this country is not then providing? Why nobody wanted to come back? Occasionally, they think of, yes, I got a nostalgia. There's a problem. Possibly, I think we need to create an environment all over to people, not that let them go, like what Rabindranath Tagore, let my house be kept open, let winds flow, and then I take ideas, and then I develop it at all. Nothing wrong in going. Go, learn, come and bring back. That's what we have to have done. That is what is missing in this country. So that is one of the problems. Finally, I would say, there is a great, Thiruvalluvar says, poverty when you are in youth is the biggest, I think, what we get the curse. I think we do have got poverty even among the youth. Malnutrition. I think Shabna, I don't know with how her homeopathy, what she is, 50% of the Indian ladies are anemic. Why? What is the problem? Great country to launch many things. We have got, we can think of going to the moon, but for the piece of the person who is around me, I don't want to look into that. This commitment, the social commitment is missing it and all. Time is coming to limits. So I would say that finally I wanted to say, if there is a youth, you should participate. The corruption is one of the major problems today. You enter into the office, I think the grim face. Somebody, I said it, for example, I think because all we are trained. When I saw a 12th class boy and said, "Why you are not smiling?" He said, "It's not in the syllabus, sir. There is no mark for that." So that is what. Then he carries it to his office. Then he further carries and throughout his life. And if you are a policeman in India, you are not at all supposed to smile at all. Even at your wife, you are not able to smile. Because something wrong will happen. So this, please, bring smile in our faces. That is the biggest gift, I would say, God has given to us as a youth. And finally, I would say, I think for the country, we should invest in the youth. We should have a holistic development youth. It's not mere mark scoring. I think there should be an opportunities. Every youth should feel, this is my country in which I can take part. This is a country of secularism. When I look into Christianity, what is that I learned? Love your neighbor. There should not be a compound wall. If I am a loving neighbor, there should not be a compound wall. But I think the entire urban area, among the Christians also, there is a compound wall. Am I right, Christina? I think possibly, I don't know. Okay. When you look into Islam, the great religion which taught me is how to share, how to put my hand also in a plate and eat and all. And that Hinduism, for me, the greatest big lesson, the most environmental friendly religion and practice, which has got tolerance to us. So we still tolerate poverty, we still tolerate injustice. This has to come an end. And now it is in your hand. I'm sure, I think in the process of, after hearing you, we'll come to. Thanks for this opportunity, Mr. Lal, and for all you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for giving your very energetic, I must say, the views about the youth. And according to Mr. Michael, the youths are not the future, they are the present. They have to think of present. Why they should think that they are the future of the country? Why there is a prime minister or chief minister or all the top bureaucrats are of age plus 60 or plus 65? Why not youth? So according to Mr. Michael, it is because the youth has to come forward, but they have to see many things. The corruption is there, poverty is there, hunger is there. So many things are going on in the society, and this is the responsibility of the youth to see how they can remove them. It is not that if one person is hungry, how you can enjoy, and you are thinking the country is thinking to go to moon, and they are not bothered for their own persons in the country. So all these things, according to Mr. Michael, is can be changed if youth take a strong position. And he also said that people, that youths are driven away from India to other countries because of the opportunities they are getting there. But they should understand that once they are going is not bad, but once they learn there, earn there, they should come back and serve the country. And the service, according to him, many people who from abroad wants to come and to serve in India. So why not the youth here should serve? There is 50% women are anemic in India. So when we have so many challenges, it can be only change the scenario of the country will be changed. A nation building can be done only if youth will take active participation. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for giving your opening remarks. And I'm sure that this will definitely become a roadmap for our future further discussion. The youth is the hope of our future, although Mr. Michael says not future, present. Now I would like to invite my first youth guest, and he is Mr. Abhay Sharma. Mr. Abhay Sharma is the head of operations, Mathura Gas Service. Mathura Gas Service is the Indian oil gas distributor at Mathura. Mr. Abhay Sharma, you have heard what our chief guest, Mr. Michael, has spoken, and he has spoken very categorically about the role of youth in nation building. Now, we would like to know from you the role of youth in nation building. Mr. Abhay Sharma, please.
Good morning, Mr. Goel. First of all, I'd like to thank our chief guest for his wonderful words and of appreciation and kind of energy that he wants the youth to have. And a big hello to all the other guests on the panel today. When we talk of this discussion, I would like to point out that when we talk of national development and the role of youth in it, discussions like these, where youth gets a chance to be a part of the conversation, are also as important, because once we get a chance to be a part of the conversation, that is when we can ideate and suggest and brainstorm with the generation above us and the generation that we are in on what is needed and what can be done and what should be done and how it can be done. Only once we get the opportunity to have these kind of conversations, then we come to a head. So thank you, Mr. Goel, for at least allowing us and to be a part and sharing our views. As our chief guest rightly pointed out, that the general consensus in the country is that the youth doesn't know what they're doing. And for years, we have always been told that, tumhe nahi pata. You don't know. We know better. We have seen more world than you, and etc. etc. But this needs to change. This attitude towards the youth needs to change, because unless that happens, we are not going to motivate the coming generation to do anything. So that is one thing that needs to change. We need to understand that youth works with a lot of assurance, a lot of devotion and vitality, because we have a lot of energy in us to do something, and we need to be motivated to do something for the country. And it all starts with doing something for ourselves. We can be all macho about doing something for the country, but if we start at home and start doing and start just developing what is around us, it will go a long way in developing how the nation looks 20 years down the line. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of futuristic approach in what the youth might have in their heads, and what the ideation that we have is very important for nation building, and that needs to be a part of the conversation that we have as a nation. Mr. Goel rightly pointed out in his opening statement that we need to be active drivers and not just passive recipients. That really struck a chord with me, because it is not just about receiving what the nation has to give. It is also about actively driving change in the nation, be it politically, be it economically, be it in entertainment and arts, in society, in culture, as well as social reform. I read somewhere while I was researching on this topic that youth is essential in social reform of a nation, extremely essential. And in the current scenario where we have so much access to internet, so much social media, and so much everybody's on their telephones, we can be an active driver to the change in the kind of social reform that this country needs. And even if the youth is educated and empowered enough, the ills of the society that India has, we can get away with them if we treat it rightly. Our former Prime Minister, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, very rightly said that the ignited minds of the youth is the most powerful resource of a nation. And we need to delve into that very seriously, that what it exactly means. So when we talk of ignited minds, if we do not empower those ignited minds, then we are not going anywhere. So until and unless there is equal opportunity, as our chief guest rightly pointed out, there needs to be equal opportunity for education, for sports, for society, for any kind of activity. There needs to be equal opportunity for youth. Unless we empower the youth with equal opportunity, it will be very difficult for us to gain as a nation. So it was very refreshing to hear that there are people who are above us in terms of age and experience, but have the same thought process that this country needs. And I would just like to, we were talking about the American dream. It was not part of my conversation, but I would like to mention that yes, we keep talking about the American dream, that people want to study and then go abroad, and that's the American dream. Why can't we have equal opportunity in this country, that we call it the Indian dream? Why is it always the American dream? It should be the Indian dream. Our youth should be thinking 20 years down the line, the world should be calling it the Indian dream. Go and work and live in a country like India, and that's what I want. And I'll just end my. If I don't know if there are any football fans here, but I'll just end my thing with I'm a Manchester United fan, and there was a time in 1992 when the manager decided to play 5 people from the youth academy, and everybody in the world questioned that why is he allowing youth 18 years old in the first team, and he just said, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So that's something I would like to just end with. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, you have highlighted that the youth's opportunities to be given. But when the opportunities are coming, youths are not encashing them. I can give you the example, as our chief guest has mentioned, Mr. Michael has mentioned that about the parliament, about the prime minister and the chief minister. As I mentioned in earlier discussions also, in the first parliament in India, 26% of the MPs were youth, which are below 45 years of age. Today, it is only 12%. So whether we are going forward or going backward, that is a very, very big question, which all of you, the youth, has to take a decision, not we. We have done our job. We are now on the verge of when you will all will be taking over and doing your work. And what Mr. Michael has said is that the youth is the present. So when you are the present, and if you will not change it, if you will not see that the more and more youth will come and participate in the government, then how you expect that the social reforms will come? How you expect that youth activity will be more active? Anyways, thank you very much, Mr. Sharma, for giving your views. Now, I would like to invite my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Alok Dutt Pandey. Mr. Pandey is an experienced visualizer, very successful in branding industry. He is experienced in event management and publishing industries. He is skilled in creative concept design, art direction, brand identity, design and development, and creative writing. He also enjoys doing poetry. He is a quick learner, team-spirited, self-motivated, resourceful, reliable, honest, and very committed to his initiative and passion. He is very eager to step into tough tasks and to make them victorious. Welcome, Mr. Pandey, on our show. Mr. Pandey, you have already heard what the chief guest, Mr. Michael, as well as the earlier guest, youth guest, Mr. Abhay Sharma, has spoken. Now, we would like to know, because as I raised it, what they said about that you should be active, not only for what they are doing, but in the thought processing or the decision making. But decision making can only take place when the youth participate actively in the government, and the government is possible only when you will be voting for the youths. But what has happening today is that it is going down, which has the official figures. And what Mr. Michael says, that we should not have a brain drain. The foreign, and Mr. Abhay Sharma says, not, why not India to be given more preference than US? It is only possible when we will have the sufficient, that type of infrastructure, that job satisfaction what youth are getting abroad. If we will create that atmosphere, then definitely those students who are going abroad will not go. Even we can attract the students from abroad also to come to India. Now, we would like to know from you the role of youth in nation building. Mr. Pandey, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me here, and I'm really inspired by all the things that you have said, and the chief guest said, and Abhay also said. Sir, you have said something very important here. There's a big need of radical change in the mindset of the people. The attitude has to be changed. There needs to be a movement to begin, for us to begin, so that we can bring about a change in the mindset of the people. This mindset is causing all the problems, in my opinion. Second of all, I would like to say, in what I believe youth to be, I don't consider youth to be someone who falls in the age group of by definition 15 to 35. I think even you are a young person. Whoever has the will, the energy, the enthusiasm to bring about a change in the nation or the world is a youth, in my understanding. Besides this, I think the major issue is that youth is not able to recognize their passions or their capabilities, and there's a whole gap between the youth and the elderly people, senior people, who are not able to just bring about a change in their mindset to actually to provide them the necessary platform or the necessary ecosystem in which they can nurture themselves. So that is one of the biggest issues, I think, in my understanding. There's a fundamental issue in the parents' minds, that a lot of parents, they demoralize their kids to do some kind of community work or social work. uh, they rather want their kids to be more focused on the studies and careers, which is I think very contradictory for a very for any developing nation. Other developed nations, they have set structure for framework to inspire and bring their youth into the paradigm of social service and all community works. But this is not happening here. Mostly people are the old framework dictates that people to just do social work for formalities, for ribbon cutting. They've become just this much, ribbon cutting ceremonies and annual tree plantation campaigns and all. But this is not what we want. I think we need to make it a regular habit, make it a practice that is very much a part of our lives, daily lives, I mean to say. So this is something that is needed to be done. Now, I have jotted down when I sat with writing whatever I feel about the role has to be and how it can be fully utilized. So I wrote down a few points that I think are very vital. Like youth usually does not understand which are the ways that they can contribute in the society, for building the nation. I'd say we can do entrepreneurial or professional make efforts in entrepreneurial and professional ways, and so that we can contribute to the GDP, which is a basic fundamental block for any developing nation or developed nation to sustain its development and go ahead with it. Secondly, we need to push our limits into doing some things innovatively. This has been a major roadblock for us, because like we have been fed in a or brought up in a framework, very dogmatic framework.
Now you have muted yourself. You have muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go
There
ahead.
was a call. Yeah, hardly any scope for any innovative works. So we need to break that chain. In my opinion, we need to break that chain and push our limits to do something innovative in our respective fields of work or education, I think. Thirdly, we can bring more and more youths into doing social services, or joining social causes and volunteering, which I have also been doing since a long time, and I'm very satisfied with what I'm doing, and I'm more I'm always very eager to contribute in any way possible. Um, or they can also become an impactful part of one or more of the pillars of our democracy, which are very well known by everyone, to repair the damages that has been done over the decades, and to cause a catalytic effect or to the already known to the already slow-paced system that has been known by the world, that India is a very slow-paced system, and culture. So this has to change, I think. There's another thing that I want to say, that not youth does not just have to become taxpayer or someone who is a very robotic person, doing the same stuff again and again the past generations have been doing. We need to create more humans, as in holistically developed humans, who not only are very well with their professional life and career, but also have what do you call it, a sentient core. I mean, the education has to be compassionate people, I mean to say. Like for example, I since my early 20s, I have been very eager to contribute to the society or inspire the younger generations, or even the elders, to bring about a change, to move their hearts, to uh, change their mindsets. Like for example,
You have to be brief, please. Be brief.
yeah, sir. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir.
Hmm.
Basically, I want to say that people need to change their mindset so as to start about a change in the whole
Okay.
process.
Okay.
The whole process needs to get a new life, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is going to sorry sir,
Yeah.
sorry Kunal. I want to conclude that is going to happen only by changing the education system of India. This is my calling.
Okay.
I think this is the feeling I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pandey. Although you have made one
Thank you, sir.
contradictory thing, you said first that we are also youth. I'm sure Mr. Michael is very happy for that, to hear this comment. But you also said that the elder generation is not allowing youth to do the charitable work. I think you should understand, initially, there are science has developed. Initially, even to donate blood was a very, very taboo thing. But now that has increased. People are donating blood. But today, organ donation is also, people are not interested to do it. Now, whether you have filled up the form, I don't know. So the youth has to change. They have to come, but never try to blame the older generation or your seniors, because after all, they have done so much for us. Our elder generation has done so much for us. So that's why we are here. And I think your parents have also done so much for you. That's why you are here. So we must. Anyways, thank you very much. And that point is very good about the change of mindset. Yes, that is very much required. Now, I would like to invite my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Amit Shroff. Mr. Shroff is based in Shillong. Mr. Amit Shroff is an electrical engineer and MBA from premier institutes in the country. After stints in the corporate world as well as in business, he now predicts stock market behavior. He believes in a holistic perspective and approaches life with empathy and compassion. Mr. Shraf, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goel, for inviting me here. And thank you, Mr. Goel and Mr. Michael, Mr. Abhay and Mr. Alok for a very nice and inspiring talk. I would like to begin by Mr. Michael, when you spoke about holistic development of youth. And also Mr. Alok spoke about humans and not robots, sentience. That reminds me of this quote that a mind all logic is like a knife all blade. It hurts the very hand that holds it. Now, we need to be integrated. Mr. Lal spoke about social transformation, youths as change agents. Central themes in our country today, we are a great country, a diverse country. Central themes today are peace, justice, inclusion, equality, and human rights. And how do we go about fulfilling our central themes? As an ecosystem of organization, of academia, of government, of social organizations, and all the intermingling of everybody, where youth plays a key role. Now, the mode for that is ethics and transparency. Can we build as youth, can we build a culture of fairness, a culture of transparency? We already, as Mr. Michael also spoke about marks, rote learning. The way, can we have some kind of a value education? Can we infuse that with our current processes? We become fear-free. Jiddu Krishnamurti talks about fear-free education. Can we talk about our democratic spirit, being truly democratic in our spirit? Inclusive thinking. Can we think about gender equality, socio-economic equity? We need to develop a culture where nobody is watching, we do the right thing. Can we, suppose we cross a red light in a traffic signal when there is no cop there? Can we prevent that? Can we prevent littering? No, something very basic, something very core, which forms the very basis of our actions. We can play great roles in government. We can play great roles in social organizations. We can play great roles as an IS officer, as in IPS officers. We can play great roles in academia. But primarily today, can we also, as a youth, look at a transformation in ethics? Can we look at excellence? Can the focus on universities not be on rote learning and marks? Can it be on excellence? Can it be on lifelong learning? Can we be, can we be looking at not just the destination, but also at the journey? Can every second that we live can be joyful? Can every second that we live be ethical, transparent? It is not just growth. It is also the way we do it. Can we look at that? Our children in school, as parents, can we tell them not to plagiarize their activities? Can we tell them not to plagiarize their assignments? Can we tell them you don't need to get 100%? It's okay. It's okay if you get some less marks, but at least you'll be proud that you've done the right thing. You've been correct in your thinking, in your approach. And that is what will make you a human being. That is what will make you not just, so let us not segregate, let us not polarize people, in terms of work and goals. Ultimately, as even Mr. Alok said, we are human beings and not. So let us be integrated and as in our approach and look at it as a journey and not just reaching a goal, reaching a destination, being cutthroat. There was Mr. Michael mentioned, Mr. Goel mentioned about brain drain. Now, it is again stemming from the same thing. It is stemming from the desire to go to a certain goal, not care about the overall context? Can we look at the context and not polarize and isolate ourselves with just respect to one or two things in life? So that is another contention. And we spoke about corruption. Now, corruption starts from the very basic level when a parent bribes his child with a chocolate to do something correct. So can we address our very basic culture from that point and understand that it is us who is breeding corruption in the system, and look at that. So these were a couple of things, and we spoke about, uh, you
Yeah.
know, uh, we spoke about being a change agent, and uh, so now all these factors that I spoke about, change comes from within. It is not something which is imposed upon us or externally exterminated by somebody else. It comes from within, from a very basic level, at a very grassroots, and so can we look at that also?
Okay. Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Mr. Saraf, and I am thank you that you have kept your time limit intact. And what Mr. Saraf says, the change comes within, and that is a very, very important point. I show that if youth will understand that if you want to do something, you have to change yourself. You don't blame that on the elders or the politicians or the officers. You have to make after all, you have a 65% of the population belongs to you, the youth. So if you want a change, no one can stop. A democracy principle is very clear. 51% is the majority mark. So when you are 65%, you can do anything which you want. And that is required today that youth can do. Thank you very much, Mr. Saraf, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next youth guest, and she is Miss Christina Rosalind George. Miss Christina Rosalind George, currently pursuing third year engineering at St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangalore. She is a fashion model by passion, crowned as Miss India Super Talent 2020, first runner-up, Miss Karnataka 2019, Miss Mangalore 2019 runner-up. Welcome, Miss Christina Rosalind. I'm sure with your presence, our program will become a bit glamorized. So we would like to know, now you have heard about our chief guest, Mr. Michael, Mr. Abhay Sharma, Mr. Alok Dutt Pandey, and Mr. Amit Sharaf. They have given their views. Now we would like to know from you the role of youth in nation building. Miss Christina Rosalind George, please.
Good morning, all. So yeah, as Mr. Michael said, youth is not the future, youth is the present. So yeah, youth is the assets that we have for our country, and they actually have the potential to interact with people better. Like, they can, the unique way of approaching people with unique mindsets and everything. So I think they are like, they know how to do it. One more thing is, in India's a significant part, most of the significant part population is youths, that is below 35 years. And again, age is just a number. So and just imagine, like, all this youth come together and they give their best to the country, and the whole thing is going to change large scale. So that's one more thing. And yeah, and we as youth also, we think like, what can we do? We depend on somebody else, or we depend on the government. We think we need someone's help. But yeah, as I think Amit sir said, like, small things like your traffic rules, no littering the beaches, roads, those are tiny things we can start with. Apart from that, if you're talking in terms of government, I think what government can do is, government can take these people who are very enthusiastic with social working, or things like that. They can take them as interns, so even we know our part, and we also know how things work. We can be a support to the government, small roles. And that's one thing I can suggest. Also, three fundamentals I would like to say that would destined to the nation building is, one is education. See, I can't say like something about education because right now India is really good at its education, like really very good, like too good. But apart from that, how we can improvise it is scholarship. This is through government side, through scholarship. There are people who do not know how to apply for scholarship and things. And then there are some, like my personal experience, like whenever I apply for scholarship, I never get it. It's like 5 years, I've never got one. I've never got one. My sister, couple of times, yes, but I've never got one. So that's one thing to be improvised. The second fundamental I would like to say is adequate employment. Like there are so many people. As I said, education is wow, but then there's no jobs anywhere. There's no employment. It's like we need to search for jobs, and everywhere is doctors, engineers, and everything. So they don't have jobs. There's no companies to offer you jobs. So what as youth we can do is start up a company or start up a job. We are very creative. We are very young minds, creative minds. We can do something for the society. And yes, as someone just mentioned, like people prefer going outside and working. There's no jobs now. So we should start up jobs and make sure people come here for jobs. So that's one thing we can try from our part. And so yeah, one more thing about startup. Like for me personally, like I'm doing my engineering, and I already see there's no job opportunities. So I diverted myself to fashion. So find your careers, find your passions. So that's one more thing how as youth you can develop like personally. And one more thing, third fundamental I was talking about is strengthening your own country. That is, it could be many ways, like small things matters. Like for me, like my experience in me strengthening my country is when I was doing my Miss Mangalore pageant. It was basically a charity pageant and a pageant with a beauty purpose. So we had taken a project, like the one who won, people who won, and the people who were on the team and everything. We took up a project, like there's a small village in Mudbidri called Walpadi village. So there we went there, and then we learned about the people there. It's like there also, when it comes to education, no much of education. There are small tiny kids, like some want to go to school. Some, when we asked them, what do you want to become? Scientists, doctors. It was wow to hear it from them. Some were not bothered because I think it comes through the family. Like the parents themselves, like, what are they going to do going to school? Nothing, no opportunities. But that's where things have to change. We had to counsel the parents. We had to talk to the children. And we learned from them, like, what are they facing and everything. We went through many things. So, so it's like we gave them training, but many things like,
Okay.
for girls, we had special physical trainings, and for, kids, how to develop things. And for people in the village, we had medical checkup and everything. So, small ways how you yourself, like, for me, it was I won a title, so I need to do something for society. I hold that responsibility, that crown.
Oh,
So I
oh,
need that.
okay.
So all that thing.
Okay.
So it is like small responsibilities you can give for others. Whatnot.
Thank you very much, Miss Christina. Although you said that jobs are not there, it's not like this. Jobs opportunities are there. The problem in India, please don't mind all the youths, that we want to look only the top jobs. When the
Correct.
same youth goes to abroad, they are ready to work in a restaurant, they are ready to work in a garage on a petrol pump, but can our youth in India can also are ready to work on a petrol pump for doing some part-time work and then funding their own education? How many of youth are ready for that? That is again a thing which you all should think before taking it, saying or blaming the government that there is no jobs. Jobs are plenty. Only thing is our mindset, which one of the panelists has said, have to be changed, has to change. And once your mindset will change, definitely the elders will also change the mindset. Now, thank you very much, Ms. Christina. I would like to invite my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Prince George. Mr. Prince George is a music composer and arranger. He studied mass media at Mithibai College, Mumbai. He aims to continue working for the betterment of the marginalized and the poor in our society. Mr. Prince George, please.
Thank you, sir. First of all, good morning to one and all. I would like to address Michael, sir, first. Sir, huge respect to you. And because at the position you are, an IAS officer serving the tribal people, I think that itself speaks a lot. And we need more role models like you, sir. And thank you so much for all the service you have done. And may God bless you abundantly. Thank you to all our other youth who are here and inspiring others. So we cannot build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future, says Franklin Roosevelt. But I'd like to add, like Michael sir said, let's build the youth for today. So how can we make a change in the country with the youth? I'd like to cover four different topics for today. One is making new entrepreneurs. Dream to the youth, dream and follow your heart. We've all been taught that let's be doctors and engineers since our childhood. All of us, I think all of us know that, our parents have always been like, you be a doctor, you be an engineer. And that's the tradition that goes about it. According to statistics in India, at least about 60% of our population is under 35, and close to 15 million try to seek jobs every year. Why only get a 9 to 5 job? Why can't we create jobs? Why can't we create our own jobs and be entrepreneurs in India? The only way through which enough jobs can be created is by creating an environment for entrepreneurship. Young, innovative, and talented minds need more financial and moral support for startups and new ideas that can take this nation to to a better position worldwide. And yes, like my brethren said, let's make the Indian dream come true and not the American dream. Next, and the most important topic, I stay in Mumbai. And every day when I go out, I see a lot of poor people out there begging, and my heart goes out to them. And I believe even one youth, it doesn't take 100 youth, it doesn't take a million youth to change. Even one youth can bring about the change. Youth and the needy is my second topic. There are a vast majority of the downtrodden and the needy who need our help. The youth must be encouraged to join some NGOs, orphanages, or serve at old age homes. Or even why not have a group of our own to help people? We have social media today. And believe me, social media is a blessing.
Sorry, Mr. Roni, just remove the paper from the front of the screen. Paper,
yes,
yeah.
Sorry,
yes.
Yep. So we need, let's use social media to help people, to help the needy. I'm sure if every youth in this country decides to make an effort to help the poor, there will be nobody who will not have food to eat, not even one person in this country to have, who likes basic amenities like food, clothing, or shelter. You are never too young to change the world. And like our dear Lord Jesus says, love your neighbor, as Sir Michael said. If we love our neighbor like ourselves, I don't think there will be anyone who will not have food or basic amenities. Next, youth and politics. I'd like to mention four people around the world. Nadia Whitcomb, who's 23 and she's the youngest MP in Parliament in the UK. Klaus Warbeck, who's 24 in New Zealand. Karina Gold, who's 32 in Canada. Edison Bros, who's 29 in Panama. Edison, he created the country's first recycling law in Panama. We have youth in our country who have different ideas, who have different creative ideas. We need young people to come up into political parties, to join political parties and get the omen out that, joining politics is bad. Politics is great. We need young leaders to come up and uh, uh, join political parties to lead this nation. There must be reservation for youth in the parliament. I think if that's made, a country like Uganda has reservations in their country. Why can't India do it? We can have reservations in our country. And finally, youth and the environment. We have climate change battling around. We see rains happening in November and December. That's crazy. Last 2 years have been the hottest in the years. Let's build youth-based teams to work on a cleaner country. Efforts need to be taking place, like back people who are coming up with new ideas like solar energy, people who can bring about changes in climate changes. And last but not the least, I'd like to tell you all that each of us can make a difference. It doesn't take the other. It takes me. If I alone can do it, I think the world will be a better place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. George. But you have made one point. According to you, the finance is required to start the startups so that jobs can be created. But if you see all the top companies whether it is a Apple, whether it's a Reliance, how they have started, how Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani started. Was he a rich man? How much fund did he has done? Nothing. How much Mr. Steve Jobs invested the money? So all those things, you just see how the Hotmail was created. This is an idea, not the money. If you have a good idea, you don't require finance. You must create, you try to generate a new idea, develop that idea, finance will flow automatically. Thank you very much, Mr. Prince George, for giving your views. Now, my next youth guest is Mr. Ronnie Scarl Thomas. Mr. Thomas is the Assistant Executive at EcoLink Institute of Wellbeing. He is well-organized youth who believes in fitness of the body and mind. He is regular in morning runs and also into meditation and mind-building exercises, self-driven and social-oriented. Mr. Ronnie is very creative, dynamic, and sincere to his mission. Welcome, Mr. Ronnie. Please give your views now about the role of youth in nation building. Mr. Ronnie, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone here. Thank you, Mr. Goel and Mr. Paul, for giving me this opportunity. And I'm happy to be among these youth and vibrant people that's in this panel, including our former Vice Chancellor, Mr. P. Michael. I'm convinced you have the most energy among us by listening to you. I am generally an optimistic person, so I'm just going to say what we can do as a youth for nation building. So nation building, especially India, is a very vast and wide topic. And I'm just a single young person and I don't know where to begin. But I sure know a thing or two about the youth and young people. When they asked me what is a nation, I'd say nation is not something that is visible to one's eye. It's an idea. It's an ideology, an identity of hope, of togetherness, and of brotherhood, and of well being of people and our planet. That's what I think one nation is. 100 years ago, the problem faced by India was different from what they faced after the independence. And similarly, the problem faced now at this contemporary time is substantially different. It takes empathy and love to serve others while also protecting our surroundings, our trees and animals. And I know that we young people have them. As history dictates, all great changes happen when a few young people takes to stand and do something unprecedented, never have done before, and set a standard. That is what I think is lacking in this present society. Somewhere I have heard millennials have gone soft. I heard that they call us, I don't know, snowflakes and all. Somewhere I feel like it is true at some extent, but obviously not all of us. There are no generation before us that are given this sort of opportunities and privileges and technology like we have right now. We have all the things what we need to create a better world in our hand tips or under our noses. These ideas and knowledge and internet and social media and Google, it's not going to activate the youth in this country. That's what I believe. But leaders can, youth leaders and collaboration. I think these two things will help. There are many existing organizations like Mr. Gold's GAN and organ donation and Mr. Paul Sir's Global TV, who are committed to do this, to reach young mind and young people with fire and heat in their chest. I think the young youth must be encouraged to identify these social issues they want to commit and join or do a lot of volunteer works and organization that's already present among us. Young youth must develop this mindset, the mindset of problem solving, because God knows we know we have a lot of problems around us. And Mr. Pandey has said the encouragement of entrepreneurship is very crucial. I think Krishna and Prince also said that. I can't believe when I read about the population ratio of young people. More than 50% of people is under 25, and 65% of Indians haven't even celebrated 35th birthday yet. It is crazy, and I think it's high time for them to treat us young people equally and important and not being ignored, because we are India, we are the present, and we are the future. We do think about arriving problems that directly affect us, like climate change and environmental degradation, poverty, education, hunger, corruption, and hate. I'm happy that young ones are standing their ground and fighting today. I see a lot of example in social media, a lot of young people, because we young are very good at questioning and challenging the system, the status quo. Democracy is not just about casting votes, casting our ballot. We have to practice being an active citizens. That's what we need to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ronnie, for giving your views that we have to be active citizen and not just only casting the vote, but we should be active. Yes, that's a very good idea. All youth should take up that they are the active citizens of the country. They must do whatsoever they want to do for the nation building positively. Don't believe, don't keep faith, just keep blaming the elders or the politicians, but please do yourself. Thank you very much, Mr. Ronnie, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite the next youth guest. She is Miss Rose Hormis Tharakan. Miss Rose is doing undergraduate program in psychology, criminology, and literature. She is a compassionate and helpful person. Miss Rose is always willing and open to learning new things, and she always tries to face challenges head on. Welcome, Miss Rose. Miss Rose, you have heard everybody. Now you have to say about the role of youth in nation building. Miss Rose, please.
Good morning, all. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Goel for this opportunity and for all the previous speakers for having given their opinion on this. I would like to start by asking, as a child, I'm still a child, but as a child, we used to all build forts using our leaves or sticks or twines or sticks, whatever, blankets may it be. But we've also seen how that the feeling we've gotten when that fort we've built has fallen. That is what we are seeing now. Our environment, may it be, or our government, that foundation is no longer strong. That foundation is no longer there, which is, you can see it now crumbling. I'm a Malayali, but I'm studying in Mangalore. So the first climate strike that I participated in, or the first climate strike that Mangalore even had, was only conducted last year. And we can now see how the world, how our own surroundings are degrading and changing. So without having to change that first, I do not think we can even proceed in order to, we might not even have a future to look forward to at the rate we're going. Being a psychology student, I wanted to talk about Abraham Maslow. He has a theory on hierarchy. So in the theory we learn that what we initially need is our basic. Poverty is another thing our country is struggling with. The fact that there are so many, like Mr. Prince said in Mumbai, he sees so many people on the streets. This is something that we all go through regularly, what we all see. For an individual, without getting their basic need, that is your food, your shelter, security, without having this assurance that you're going to survive today and tomorrow, how can they even think about the future? Their needs are only mine now, today, tomorrow. Their target will be to live another day. So how do you expect them to be able to think of the future? So without getting their basic need, they will be unable to fight or put forward their ideology of what it could be. So as we've all known, as the 2020's census, we can see that more than, like many of you all have mentioned, more than 50% of our country is made up of the youth. So for a country that is largely dominated by the youth, do we even know the number of individuals that are in power right now? Like Mr. Michael say, we can say that we are astonished to see a young MLA or a young person involved in this. Now it is up to us to rectify that. It is up to us to change it. We should stand up. We should participate more. We should understand more and get involved more in everything when it comes to this. Everyone here mentioned about the American dream. I myself am an individual who've been given the opportunity to go abroad, go to America, settle down and study there. But the question is why? Here, Mr. Goel said that people go there and they're willing to take up a petrol pump job or a cashier or a waiter or anything to make ends meet. But the question is why we don't do it here. We don't do it here because society looks down upon us. Now, even if I or anyone I knew were to tell, okay, I am going to go work in a petrol pump, I'm going to go make money for myself, everyone looks down upon you. It is something that is so shameful. That is why when they go there, they leave everything behind. You have to go, you're going there with that determined mindset saying that you have to do it. There is no other option. I have to do it. Over here, when you do it, you're looked down upon, you're judged on by your, may it be your family, your friends, whoever it is. And everyone knows people do not, I wouldn't want to be judged. That's the common mindset everyone has. Nobody wants the whole concept of being looked down upon. Another thing here we need to address is the education system. Why is it that people want to go abroad? Why is it that they want to study there? I personally feel like our education system has not done much for me. What I have learned throughout my schooling is I mug up something, I learn it, I go spit it out on the paper, I get my marks, and that's it. I've forgotten completely about it. That is not how the system is anywhere abroad or in another country. If you would see, if you take America, for example, I'm saying that from the fact that I've seen how what I learned in my 11th grade, I was a science student in 11th grade. What I learned in my 11th grade, my own cousins are learning now in college. And now when they bring up that topic, I will know the bare minimum, like the surface of that. And they would know so much in depth as to why and what and the initial and the exact reason as to what it is. We are taught so little, but so much at the same time. And the fact that a medical profession or an engineering profession or anything is determined by that one examination. I, to be like all our parents, even I was pushed, not pushed into, I wanted to do medicine. I tried to do medicine, but I didn't get in. And how can it be that just that one examination is what determines everything? It is that one examination and the amount of money you have in your pocket that determines everything. So how can you rely or trust or give your life or rely on a doctor who has gotten in through, who's not had an interest in studying, who's gotten in just to fulfill their own parents' dream, who had the money to spare and to do this? These are the things, these are why I feel people migrate or move towards another country and try to achieve or make something worth of themselves there.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Rose. You have so much fire in your belly. Why feel shame, ashamed? Change the society.
Exactly.
Why not? Why not?
That is
So
like
start
the Pandey said.
start taking work from some part-time work. Do
Definitely,
the part-time work
I
and
have
don't be
started
ashamed.
doing something because I need it.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'm sure that once the youth will take such type of decision, that definitely 65% of you, if you start working here and there, nobody, no society. So you have to change the society. Thank you very much. Now, our last youth guest is Dr. M. Shabna Shri. Dr. Shri, a 25-year-old PG scholar, Department of Pediatrics, Father Muller Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, hailing from Chennai, and did BHMS in Venkateshwar Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Chennai, and enthusiastic participant in the culture and academic aspects of the institution. She follows the passion of Bharatnatyam and is a patient teacher, living every day to the fullest like there is no tomorrow. Welcome, doctor, to our show. Please, because of the paucity of time, I will not say anything except that your views on the role of youth in nation building.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. And I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Michael, as well, because they have given us like an opportunity and to speak about our views on how the youth can help in the building of the nation. First and foremost, all the speakers here have been giving us ways as to how the youth can, build the nation or what the country has to do. But I think it is not something that has stopped or anything. We have already in the process of it. Like people are building up, they are deviating from their own mainstream careers, they're taking up their passion and they're working towards it. So it's not something that has to start. It is already started. The process of evolution is happening. And I'm really proud to be in such a generation. Well, I would have to definitely quote Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You have to dream before your dreams can come true. So it is such dreams that helps in the progress of our nation. Okay. And there are some vital areas that I would like to state over here where the nation has to help the youth and vice versa. They would get the help from the youth as well. So with every new year, as all of us know, the youth population multiplies. It is through this vision of these fresh minds that we can also make the impossible possible. The creativity of the youth is endless, and hence they take next to problem resolution. Their practices could enhance the progress of the nation. So ideally, no young mind is influenced directly by the existing bias, based on gender, caste, creed, religion, or economy. What often cages these free minds is the lack of sensitization. So people have to be aware, or they have to be there is a very great need for gender sensitization and self-awareness, which could eventually, prove fruitful to the nation. And so the youth or the younger generation, they need to be made aware of various forms of discrimination that is existing around them, like a few including gender, religion, caste, nepotism, or favoritism and all. So first we need to know these barriers to break them, and then that would make us stronger. One of the best examples, from what I researched, I came across was that the Young Lions of South Africa, they are a group of youth who fought or they marched against the government because they were pushed into black schools. And this happened way back in the 1940s. Considering that time period that it happened, I feel it's like a very great achievement. So it has started much earlier. It's not something that we have to start right now. The process is still on. So, and then we've also come across these various protests, like the Jamia University protest or the Jallikattu protest by the youth of the nation. They follow the ideologies of the father of the nation and his ahimsa strategy. These strategies, it brought out the best for the country. They got what they wanted. They had to just protest against them and not follow any violent means. And as most of us have discussed, there is a field that is completely taken over by the young generation, I would say, is social works. There are n number of NGOs with a whole infirmary of young volunteers. And they take the goal of spreading awareness and bringing the most basic necessities to every nook and corner of the country. It is through these NGOs that even certain basic practices or the policies of the government could reach the target population. These people are not even aware that such policies exist and all. But I think the NGOs, which is majorly run by the young population, aims at reaching the population or taking it to the people who actually deserve it and making them satisfied. And there is
okay.
the Global Changemaker
Yeah.
Award
Yeah, I think.
Or
Yeah.
Gulati. Yes, sir.
Yeah, anything in 30 seconds only. Yes, please.
Okay, sir. So Ms. Garvita Gulati, she runs an NGO called Buy Waste, which aims at water conservation. So there are some simple efforts taken by people which can make a huge difference in the future. And I'm not say just, there are first responders and young entrepreneurs who are coming up. They are not focusing just on the mainstreams. They're already finding a various diversity of career options. They are ready to take up this risk and follow their passion and work towards it. This would create a lot of opportunities. And by taking up these diverse options, I think there will be several job opportunities that is created in India itself. And if such things are created, as all of you said, no one would want to leave their own country and go to another country and work there or, serve them. Rather, they would stay with ourselves and make it a better place.
Okay,
so
thank you.
I would end by quoting.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, sir. I would just
quote
give a small
fast.
quote. Yes.
Okay.
I would quote Swami Vivekananda, who says, "Arise, awake, stop not until the goal is reached." So we have to set up the goal and then progress towards it. Only if we set it up, we can move forward. Without it, nothing can happen.
Okay.
So
Thank
thank
you
you
very
for the
much.
opportunity, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Yes,
Sri. Time is very essence of the, and last,
yes, sir.
our chief guest, 1 minute for you to summarize today's this conference.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. It was such a great pleasure to listen each one of you and with so much of enthusiasm and commitment. So I would say maybe when I was at your age, I don't think I was so mature enough to even articulate. That is a fact. I will be very frank with you. You, because of the technology, because of the exposure, you are able to. I think especially, I think Rose, she was so nicely presenting. I think she must be one of the youngest, the way I look at it and all. So you are equipped. So I would say, appeal to you. Pen is mightier than this word. Please, I would say, many of them like Alok is a writer. Please do write, put it some as a points and send to the PMO. PMO has got the email and all. Send it to your chief minister and third, at least your district collector. So let something happen and you say, I am available for this one and all. It's not that, because it's not that they don't know. Something to be trigger and all that, I would say. So I think I'm very thrilled by the richness with which you speak, the commitment with which you speak, and like the begging in Bombay is really troubling. I think that's what happened from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. It is happening and all. There's a lot of challenges, and unfortunately or fortunately, God has given this land for us to work. So let us do the best thing and make Sare Kahan Se Acha. Let us make this India great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Michael. So today you have seen the youth and the role of youth in nation building, and such a vibrant, energetic youths, their views, as Mr. Michael has rightly said, they are far ahead than our generation. So if they will channelize their power, if they channelize their energy, they can definitely going to be a very, very big thing. They can do the changes and they can bring the changes for the nation building, which I'm sure they are going to do. So today's program, which is live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, Newsgaon Se, Samaj Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day a new topic. And tomorrow, media conference with Lal Goel is one-man expert commission report. Yes, there is a one-man expert commission report on labor, migrant laborers, and Pravasis and artisans. So for that, our guests are Mr. S. Bhumrao, Chairman, Contract Labor Welfare Advisory Board, Government of India; Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, one-man expert commission on labor, Government of India; Mr. Vishnath, Habitat for Humanity International and TCIS, Mumbai; Mr. Neloli P. Rajshekharan, writer, music composer, and CEO, Guru Management Consultants, Bangalore. So please tune in tomorrow for a media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for joining us and giving your views. And thank you all my young youth leaders or youths and giving your views. Thank you very much. And thank you, viewers, for watching our show. Thank you.